Oh. The green language on the agenda is what applies to the closed session.
We ready to go? All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular Lake Forest City Council meeting of April 21st, 2020. I'd like to call the closed session meeting to order. Let the record show that 3 council members are present, with Mayor Motazedi absent. Madam Clerk, have you received any public comments on closed session items?
I have not received any.
Thank you very much. Hearing none, we will recess to the Maple Room to discuss items on the closed session agenda. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to call the regular city council meeting of August 21st, 2020 to order. Let the record reflect that Mayor Motazedi is absent from tonight's meeting as she is out on maternity leave. Due to the global pandemic and state governor's executive order, there are no members of the public present in our council chambers this evening. We encourage residents to remain engaged and watch our proceedings from home, either through Facebook Live or on our website. The invocation for tonight's meeting will be provided by Councilmember Teddemer.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I am mindful that the city of Lake Forest is a diverse community comprised of people with different beliefs. I want to be respectful to each and every one of those beliefs. We are experiencing challenging times, and it is during these challenging times when we need to be more patient, more understanding, more tolerant, more giving, more hopeful, and more helpful. We recognize the amazing work done by our first responders and medical personnel under these trying conditions. Let's do our part to support them by reducing their burden so they can focus on those in need. We recognize that there are those that need food and other essential goods. Let's find a way to give of our time and resources, large or small, to help those deserving, both individuals and families. We recognize that there are those in need of emotional support. Let's find the time to provide a shoulder to lean on and words of encouragement. We recognize that some of us have greater capacity to be in service to others in whatever form that takes. For those who can, let's be in service to others. It's a good thing to do, the right time to do it, and it sets an example for others. We recognize that we live in a time with an uncertain future. Let each of us be a source of hope and optimism for others. I remain confident that we will do our best and be at our best, not because we have to, but because we want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Teddemer. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country tonight will be led by Councilmember Voights.
Let us rise. Pledge our allegiance to the greatest symbol of freedom in the world. You know, America is still one nation under God, and the white in the flag signifies purity and innocence. The red, hardness and valor. Blue is the color of the chief. Remember, through our faith and our belief that better days are ahead of us, we'll get through this. So let us salute our greatest symbol of freedom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Voights. So we have one presentation. Do I have a motion to consider approving item number 5?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
Hold on. Motion carries unanimously.
You have a presentation? Good. You good?
Presentation on Etnies Skate Park will be given by two gentlemen right behind me, Senior Recreation Supervisor Scott Stewart and Recreation Supervisor Kevin Fernandez.
Thank you, Scott. It is an honor to be here this evening to present to you the virtual skate park that we created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now at this time, I ask that you buckle your helmets as Kevin takes you on a guided tour through Lake Forest's very own virtual skate park.
Thank you, Scott. So the first stop on our virtual tour is going to be the Etnies Board Bounties Contest series. This is a series we've had for over a year now. It's always been ran strictly through our Instagram account, and with the quarantine measures in place, it's been the perfect excuse to kind of ramp up our efforts. The first one we offered was a virtual skate contest through the popular video game EA Skate. This video game is available on Xbox and PlayStation, and many of our participants already use it. So it was only natural that we took the format we use for our in-person best trick contests and kind of rolled it into a virtual medium. We had over 70 entries with thousands of views for the contest. And as a nice little tidbit, users loved the game and the skate park so much, they created a virtual Etnies skate park. So now on top of our virtual skate park we have available through our Instagram, there's a literal virtual version of Etnies in the game. Another popular contest we had was our Spot the Spot contest. Many of our participants also have fingerboards, so we tasked them with going throughout the house and kind of finding things that represent skate park obstacles you might find in real life. Everything from like benches, stuff like that. We got a lot of creative entries. If we can go next slide. You'll see some of our entries we got for the contests. So here we have our virtual best trick, and you can see a lot of it resembled stuff you'd find inside the park. And then for our Spot the Spot contest, you can see they really got creative, and some of them even ended up building replicas of skate obstacles inside their house, miniature, which was very cool. But we are not just about the contests in our virtual skate park. It's all about the community and giving people a place to get together even while you're stuck inside. Our Instagram is run by skateboarders for skateboarders, and Scott and I keep an expansive backlog archive of videos, pictures of both participants, instructors we have, and even professionals that quite often frequent the park. On top of that, we also like to work on community projects. A couple of our most recent ones would be our Shove It COVID video. A Shove It is a really popular skateboarding trick, and so there's a campaign where you do a shove it as your way of telling COVID to shove it. We made a video of that, and it got reposted with over 40,000 views. And we also made a tribute video for a young man named Kyle Cumming, who used to frequent the park. Unfortunately, he passed away, and he's very missed, and you will get a chance to see a portion of that video at the end of the presentation. It's also worth mentioning, I guess, while we're talking about community, that all of our prizes, while we've been doing these contests, have been donated by the local skateboarding community, which is wonderful of them. So by the numbers, this is an average weekly breakdown of what we get for our virtual skate park. You're looking at over 5,500 weekly visitors, which would be people who come and check our profile. Out of that, there are 14,000 video plays, which is a great number because it means not only are they coming back, it means every single person who comes is playing the videos multiple times. They're enjoying the content. And then out of those video plays, we have 1,000 customer interactions, which are, messages, contest entries. It really, Scott and I getting a chance to go back and forth and engage with the community through this medium. So at this time, we're going to play a quick video, just kind of highlight some of the stuff we talked about, and afterwards, we'll be here if you have any questions. After going over the trivia contest, I can tell that everybody knows what the Kyle Wall is. But I also want to make sure that everybody knows what it stands for. We're a family here at Etnies, and part of being a family is knowing the people who came before you and kind of paved the way. Kyle was one of our skate rats. He was one of us. He was one of you. He'd get dropped off every day after school, and he wouldn't stop skating until the lights turned off at night. For those of us who were lucky enough to be here during that time, we remember seeing him take gnarly slams, land crazy tricks, and make great friends. As long as Etnies Skate Park is standing, Kyle will be a part of it. So next time you're here, whenever we reopen, please just go over to the wall and say hi.
I just did a...
Thank you. Thank you. If you have any questions, love to answer them.
Just a quick comment, no question, but I mean, you guys are doing a fantastic job, so thank you very much. I know it's really difficult for kids. Mine are 18, 14, and 8, and they definitely have cabin fever. I can imagine there are just tons of kids that do, but giving them this outlet, this way to engage with their friends and still engage with the skate park in some way. Just want to let you know how much I really appreciate the creativity, and I'm sure I speak for all Lake Forest residents.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, my daughter plays group sports, soccer and volleyball, but the kids to come out to the skate park are more loners and kind of isolated to where the skate park friends they have are probably some of their best friends. And so thank you guys for keeping that alive in them. And so you're doing a great job in keeping in touch with them, keeping them motivated with your creative, with this virtual thing. And so thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, we have reached the public comment section of the agenda. Until further notice, we encourage members of the public to submit e-comments to council@lakeforestca.gov or leave a voicemail message by calling 949-461-3456. E-comments will not be read at the meeting, but will be distributed to the City Council prior to any action being taken. If leaving a voicemail message, please indicate if it is a general public comment or on an agenda item and indicate the item number. Voicemail messages will be played at the meeting and limited to 3 minutes per item. To ensure staff reviews all comments prior to the City Council meeting, please submit email or voicemail comments by 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. Comments received after said time will be uploaded to the agenda packet and made part of the official public record of the meeting. Madam Clerk, have you received any voicemails intended for public comment?
We did not receive any.
Okay. So that moves us on to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the City Council, the public, or staff request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Have there been any requests to remove any items from the consent calendar?
None received.
Colleagues?
I'd like to move consent calendar with a statement. These are the warrant registry, and there is a warrant registry for the County of Orange. I am an employee of the County of Orange, but I do not work for the department that generated the warrants. Because the County of Orange is a public agent, because I do not work for the department in question, I have determined that I have a non-interest in these warrants and will vote on them. So I'll move the warrant registry.
Second?
Mayor Pro Tem, if I could. I'm an employee of Irvine Ranch Water District. There's an item on the warrant register tonight to Irvine Ranch Water District. I'm not affiliated with the rate-making or billing aspects of the organization and have no financial interest in the matter. And having made that disclosure, I will vote on that item. Thank you.
Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Did you have a second on the?
Yeah, I second.
Okay, thank you.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, that brings us to the public hearing item. Item 12 is a request for continuance to the May 19th City Council meeting to hold a public hearing to consider the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program, fiscal year 2020 to 2024, consolidated plan, fiscal year 2020-2021 annual action plan, and fiscal year 2020-2024 Orange County analysis of impediments to fair housing. Is there a presentation?
Yeah, I'd like to move for continuance, item number 12, till May 19th.
Mayor, members of the council, I was going to call up Gail for just a brief few comments, but you're free to also just vote on the matter at this point.
Okay, I'll second the motion, and then can we hear from Ms. Ackerman, did you say? Oh, she's-
Good evening, council members. Good evening, council members. As stated in the title of the agenda, this year we're actually bringing forward 3 items related to the Community Development Block Grant Program. the annual action plan that you take action on each year, the consolidated plan that covers a 4-year period, and the analysis of impediments for fair housing choice. And we are asking that these be continued to the May 19th meeting to give us some additional time to finalize the analysis of impediments. This evening, the city's consultant, Mr. Mike Linares, is here. Should you have any questions regarding the latest funding that has become available through the CDBG program in light of COVID-19? Thank you.
So there's a motion by Councilmember Voigt, a second by myself. Any other comments? Councilmember Robinson.
If Mr. Linares is here, it might make sense to have him come up and make those, the comments about additional funds related to COVID-19, if he's made the trip here.
Okay, before we do that, I just want to be real sure. Do we get any public comments on this matter? I apologize.
Yes, I didn't realize that there was going to be a presentation. We can formally open the hearing. No comments were received, either written or orally.
Okay. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. I don't have a formal presentation. I'm really here to answer any questions you may have regarding the Community Development Block Grant CV coronavirus CDBG funding. The city has received notice that it will receive, excuse me, I've got to put my glasses on here real quick. You will receive $302,281 in this one-time allocation of CDBG funding. HUD has already indicated some of the basic rules for the use of the funding. It will need to be used to help prevent, respond to the COVID virus. So there will be some limitations. As of today, I just checked right before I came up, the HUD has not issued the specific guidance for the program. There are some very specific ideas of how the city can use the funds. One of the things, however, that they are going to be doing different, and we will probably be coming to you maybe next council meeting, with a waiver process. HUD is kind of taking a different approach this time as opposed to prior emergency situations where in the past they'd hand you, here's your allocation, they'd give you the rules, and then we'd go and implement the programs. This time what HUD is doing is they're issuing waivers to regulations. So the city can actually pick and choose which waiver you want to take to make certain programs maybe more efficient, more effective, and also to help you get the funding out into the community much quicker. So there's a very preliminary waiver that must be done, working with staff so we can bring that to the council. That will shorten the 30-day comment period that traditionally we have to come whenever we make significant changes to your funding program. It will be reduced down to 5 days. It also allows for virtual meetings, so we don't have to necessarily have this setting, but maybe another setting where the public can also have input on how the city is going to be utilizing the funds. So that will be the first waiver that we will be probably bringing to the city council for action. And then after that, as the city starts developing their use of the funds, and if there are other waivers, other regulations that may stand in the way of using the funding quickly, the system will be in place where you'll be able to waive those things and kind of keep the money moving a little bit faster. So I'll be happy to answer any questions on that. There's still a lot of unknowns though, but I'll be happy to answer what I can.
Any questions? Councilmember Voigt?
So that was 302?
302-281.
281. Now, is that all we're getting this year, or is that on top of what we usually get?
That is in addition to the funding that you'll receive for 2020 fiscal year. For 2020 fiscal year, it's $513,842. That is the action plan that we were going to bring to you this evening. That would have been the plan on how to allocate that $500,000. This is in addition to that funding. And because of so many things that, as I indicated, that HUD has so many waivers in place, we wanted to give the city a little more time to kind of get a good plan in place to use these resources.
Yeah, it's cognizant that we and the government looks upon the stimulus that's happened to help our local businesses get through this tragedy and this horrid time, but many of our not-for-profits also have been hit extremely hard. I'm thankful that we have the opportunity to try to help and mitigate some of that hardness. Thank you.
Councilmember Teddemer?
Thank you. I don't have thank you very much for being here. This really more is a statement about what I believe we need to do is start to, whether it's the ad hoc or some other variation of it, is to start meeting as soon as possible. I know there's been talk about whether there were county dollars from the Fed to the state to the county to us. That may or may not materialize, but at a minimum, we should expect the $302,000 that we would need to find a way. And the purpose for getting the ad hoc involved is to try and prepare for that. So as soon as those dollars are available, we can push them out as quickly as possible. So I guess I'm just making a pitch that we should try to find a way, whether it's the ad hoc or some other version of it, to try and meet as soon as possible to anticipate that and plan for it. So as soon as the dollars are here, we can turn them around quickly.
For Councilmember Tenmer's comments, would we just do that under consensus for now to put the ad hoc on that? Could we do it under this item, or should we do it separately?
I believe the plan is to return at our next council meeting for this item. Oh, I'm sorry, May 19th. So if you'd like to see it sooner, we could certainly by consensus have a
And-
discussion of
And
that.
I'm supportive of the ad hoc group taking a look at that, so.
There's a lot on the plate for the ad hoc these days, so I'm not trying to, but
Yeah.
there's so much going on right now. I think it helps to provide that additional sort of legwork in preparation for coming to the full council. So just a suggestion, thank you.
Yeah, sure. If you're interested, we could certainly put together a different ad hoc as well and have them work with Gail and her staff to start programming some of that money.
And I'd like to also, too, I'm actually working with the County Board of Supervisors to try to help facilitate extra money to the not-for-profits now.
All right, thank you very much. So
Thank you.
we have a motion and a second on this item already? We get one? I think we did. Okay, call for the vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, and that brings us to the city manager's report. Madam City Manager, do you have anything to report this evening?
Mayor and members of the council, I'd like to start my report by turning it over to our city attorney.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, I just wanted to speak tonight. We did have a closed session, and I just wanted to check that box procedurally. There was no reportable action from tonight's closed session. With that, I will pass the baton back over to the city manager for her report.
Thank you, city attorney. So tonight, I'd just like to update the community on the food drive that we held on April 11th here at the Civic Center. The food drive was on behalf of Families Forward. It was quite successful. We had 2 members of the council there that were able to assist, and our staff put together a short video to share with you how the day's events went. So again, we just had an outstanding participation from the community, and so we've decided to host another event. We're working on a blood drive on behalf of the Red Cross to occur at the sports park on a Tuesday in May. I don't recall the actual date. On May 26th, we're going to be hosting a blood drive on behalf of the Red Cross. So be on the lookout for more information, and we're also looking at just more things we can do to help channel the community who's really interested in helping our nonprofits during this time. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the city council comments. Councilmember Robinson?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Councilmember Tedmer.
Thank you. First, let me just give congratulations to the mayor and the new addition. Also, wanted to say what an honor it was to work at the Family Forward event. I tell you, I love doing things like that in the community, and it's good for this soul. And it's so empowering to see people come. I mean, we were emptying out cars, and some people had one bag, and they were almost apologetic. I said, no, thank you for doing that. Other people's, I have a family of 4, and we went shopping. There are people who literally backed up their SUV, had more stuff than when we go shopping for our family of 4. It was a full back of an SUV, filling 2 shopping carts at least full. It's so encouraging to see people that just answer the call. No fanfare, what can I do to help? And so I was just honored to see that and be able to help. So thank you to staff for all the work you did to help make that happen. I understand it got pushed out through several forms of social media, and that may have contributed to why we had over 200 cars, I think, show up. So it was phenomenal. So thank you again for that. And also a thank you to staff, parenthetically Carlo. I think he was instrumental in helping to get some masks donated from some business, I think in town. And I offered to go and drive them around, so I think I made a few stops to drop off masks at some of the markets, Stater Brothers, Albertsons, Ralph's, et cetera. So it's great to be able to do that. So thank you to staff for helping to do that and find another way to help our community through these times. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing that stuff. And I would just say we have some interesting challenges up ahead, financial challenges up ahead, and rest assured that this council is taking a very hard look at those financial challenges. We don't take them lightly, and we're not alone. But I would say on our behalf, the city and staff have done a really good job of providing for us so we are in the best possible position going into something like this so we can help absorb this to the greatest extent possible. So while it's an unfortunate circumstance clearly that we find ourselves here, but I also think it's a reflection of our values, our continual values over saying, let's be fiscally prudent and responsible to prepare for these types of things. So here we are needing to face that challenge, and we are taking it very seriously. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tedember. Councilmember Voights?
Thank you for the staff to putting together that video and showing the generosity of our citizens. We live in a great city, and I've always said that the greatest thing about the city of Lake Forest, not the location, which I always brag about, but the people. So that was really good to see. And as we go through these trying times, it's important to know that we are together in this, and that together we'll come through. And the fact is, we're a blessed city. We have plenty of reserves, and reserves are for just a day as this. And so may God bless each and every one of you. May He protect you, and may He protect our city and cleanse our nation of this scourge. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Voights. Last Thursday night, the city manager and I were on a call again with all the mayors in Orange County. I think it's been fairly positive, that meeting, and everybody trying to pull in the same direction to deal with this pandemic. So we'll continue those calls. I'll continue to update you as there's activity involved with that. And then last week in Portola Hills, we had a pretty significant event. A 12-year-old went missing, so every parent's nightmare. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Taylor and all of his staff, the Fire Authority and all their staff. There was a lot of people out looking for this little girl. It went on for quite a while. It started early afternoon, helicopter circling, making loud announcements over and over and over. And I think by the time they found her, I think Lieutenant Taylor had about 60 personnel on scene, including volunteers, bloodhound volunteers that I saw. Fire Authority trucks were out driving by looking. And the other group that was amazing was the residents in Portola Hills. And there was hundreds of residents out looking for this little girl. I myself went out twice. I went out once by myself and then once with my wife. And we spent a couple hours. I ran into God knows how many neighbors. Everybody was social distancing, but talking about what streets you'd been down, where you looked. Did anybody look here? Did anybody look there? So the whole effort was amazing. And thank you, Lieutenant Taylor and Fire Authority. We appreciate that. She was found safely and returned home. And very great response by the Sheriff's Department and all his personnel. So thank you. With that, I have no further comments, and we stand adjourned. Do that.